Alright people, hope you had a good Christmas day. I just had a quiet one. My boy went to his gran's for his dinner. I just had dinner here. Um, it was good. Just stuffed my face all day. Um, as you do. Had soup, stew and totties and carrots, and then had the cheek to have steak pie, totties, gravy, pigs and blankets. Ate a full tray of them. It's about 10 in it or something. Scumbag. Yes, but that's what it's all about, innit? Just just appreciating the wee tiny things that if you've ever been to prison before, you would like it's like you take things for granted, you know. So I didn't even have any alcohol yesterday, which is probably the first time I've ever done that. Because I had an event to go to today, but I ended up just cancelling it because um I get bad social anxiety. So if I know I'm going to be in a room for like 40 people in close proximity, and remember this is a self-defence class, man, you're just rolling about with people for like 3 hours, and I was just like, no what man, my guts are gone and I'm overthinking it and all this kind of stuff. I'm kind of disappointed in myself because they say when you're feeling like that you need to just power through it, and um, I just thought, no what man, maybe Boxing Day's not really the time to be maybe doing stuff like that. I don't know, but um, the end of the day, this journey for me in that this particular class has only just started in like August or something. So I've got the whole of next year to look forward to. So um, I wholly intend to be taking full advantage of it because it's really fun, and praying that I don't get like injured or whatever, then I'll be able to continue with it. It's not that far from where I live, so it's not like I'm travelling or anything like that. So I hope you all are enjoying your day with your family and all that. Shout out to Lachlan McRae, who's just started his podcast. Can't mind the name of it. It's something transformation or something like that. Um, I watched one of his videos yesterday, so I just sat yesterday just watching podcasts all day, right? And true crime documentaries, trying to kind of fuel ideas for coming on to mine one. And one of the stories that was on it was a guy, Sonny Von Cleveland. This guy's story's horrendous, man. Absolutely horrendous. Like I thought my background was bad till I read this, watched this guy's. But the guy's totally overcome overcome his trauma. He's putting back in. He's doing well. So do you know what? Big shout going out to him. Know what I mean? Good to see that. Like people turning it round against all odds. You know. Shout out to the bold 5-0. I know. How are you 5-0? Um, he's I'd only discovered him about a month or two ago. Somebody sent me a court skit he'd done, like sitting in the court. You know how when everybody's like in off the streets, down for prison, you're all packed in cells, which I was explaining before in another video. It was I was actually in tears of laughter, man. Like it was, and I don't usually laugh at things like that. But it was bang on. So I'm going to be going on his podcast in the new year as well. So that's two different podcasts. Lachlan McCrane, Hawaii 5-0. Funnily enough, the two of them actually messaged me yesterday in the same day, so I was like, fuck's sake. But onwards and upwards in it, man. Like, new year, new start, new goals, new things to reach for, and um, I feel like I'm living somebody else's life at times, you know what I mean? But it's what somebody said to me, you earned it, you know what I'm talking about? So, looking forward to doing these two podcasts, definitely. Um, so I don't know if this is a bit of a kind of weird time to be talking about this particular case, right, because of the date and all that, but this case happened in Christmas 2010. Now, I was actually in the community then, right, and I remember seeing the public appeals on the telly and all that, and it was like, oh man, like, just horrendous. Um, It happened in Bristol down England, right? And it was this young lassie, her name was Joanna Yates, right? Um, she had just vanished for her it was like student accommodation rented, but it was a really nice area. It wasn't like kind of scheme digs, whatever. Um, it was like a kind of townhouse, but it was all like rented flats in it. And our boyfriends returned home in December, late December, just before Christmas, in the run up to Christmas, and found that she wasn't there, but he was phoning her, and her phone was ringing inside her jacket, in the side of the flat. Um, the cat hadn't been fed. Now these are all traits that obviously would set off alarm bells, because if you know somebody's patterns and their traits and their behaviour, if they're always on the ball, they've never missed a day of work, whatever, then if they don't show up for work, then somebody's going to be asking questions, and it's not like maybe somebody like disappears for 2 weeks and then they turn up, you know what I mean? So the boyfriend raised the alarm, and the parents and all that. There was a public appeal um, to obviously locate this poor lassie, man. The lassie was kind of very bright lassie, if you understand. She had a career in, it was something like she had a career. It wasn't like a lawyer or it, and it was like something to do with urban planning or something like that. I can't remember the exact detail of what her profession was, but had her whole life in front of her. Her and her boyfriend were really stable, no arguments, nothing like that. So obviously, the cops have ruled him out because he'd an alibi. He was like somewhere else. Like he wasn't even in Bristol at the time. He was in Leeds or fucking Manchester or somewhere like that, right? And the dad actually has said, "I think she's been abducted from her flat." Um, the police have kind of obviously searched the flat and like basically cordoned it off and all that. But the funny thing is, right, see her landlord stayed in the same building, so he owned the building. And I'm not going to lie, right, first impressions, this guy struck me as a bit weird, something weird about him, right? Um, and this was a really, really high profile case. Um, I remember it at the time. I can actually visually remember watching it on the telly and all that. It was on Sky News all the time. Um, and the newspaper tabloids were camping outside in the street, following this guy about, asking him questions. What did you say to the cops, and what did they say to you? Asking for details of what he had been saying, his witness statements and all that. And they were publishing these kind of unflattering reports about him, almost on akin to character assassination. This guy's an academic background. He was a teacher or something. And he said he was at home reading a book and all that shit, right? But unbeknownst to the cops, right, there was only 3 people in the building that night. There was the victim, the killer, and the landlord, right? Now the guy that actually did this murder, his name was Vincent Tabak, right? He was like a Dutch national living in England, right? He had grown up in Holland. He was apparently very, very, very academically bright. Got his PhD, all this stuff. But he was apparently, if a lot of reports, he was actually very, I don't want to say reclusive, I would say socially inept. Kind of didn't mix a lot, didn't have a lot of pals, didn't know how to conduct himself in social relationships, all this kind of shit, right? Don't know if you would call it asocial, but um, and he spent a lot of time in front of the computer, like he was almost glued to it. So what's ended up happening was, after this lassie's disappeared, he went back to Holland, right, with his girlfriend, I think, and this poor lassie's been found in the freezing snow, strangled on Christmas Day, fucking Christmas Day, you know what I mean? Like, bad enough one of your family getting that happening to somebody you love or care about, but if, of all days to fucking happen on, like, Christmas would just never be the same again. A time when you're meant to love your be around your family and share good times with them, good memories, make more memories and all that, and this fucking ratbag's done this, know what I mean? Um, so he's phoned the murder squad for Holland, right? And he said, I've got information about the landlord, because what happened was the cops had arrested the landlord because I think he had no changed his statement, but he had said something after his first statement, that he had no said in the first one, right? So it'd be like, cops pull you in for a murder that's happened on your property, you give a statement, and then say weeks later, whatever, you say something you never told them in the first one. So that would naturally be, I don't know, suspicious to them, you know, because everything's suspicious to them until they find out what they need to find out, and sometimes it can be blinkers on them, and maybe they overthink it, I don't know, but aye, so they've ended up they took him into, they detained him, right, and took him to the police station, and he was kept in custody for 2 days, right, but see, the guy who actually killed this lassie, he had phoned the murder squad in Bristol from Holland saying, I've got no information, see, that landlord, I remember that night his motor was parked facing out the drive, like facing as if you don't need to reverse it. But then that night his motor was parked in the same spot, but turned round as if he had left and then came back, right? But parked facing out the way, in the way, whatever. So obviously they're got to be thinking, oh, hold on a minute. He told us he wasn't. He told us he was in the house all night reading a book. So they went out to Holland to interview this freak show, right? And he was sitting with his girlfriend. I find that quite. Somebody like that could have a girlfriend. I find that a bit, but you never know. Do you know what I mean? Like, probably a lot of these people are social chameleons at times, you know. So they've went out to Holland to interview him, and he was giving this statement, right? And funnily enough, the murder squad asked this guy, Vincent Tabak, right, do you want to submit a sample of your DNA? And he said no, right? So obviously they're like, well, hold on a minute, you're a witness, if you've got nothing to worry about, then obviously you would want to rule yourself out of the investigation. And the funny thing was, right, this fool's injected himself into this investigation. I dare say it would have been only a matter of time before they figured out he was the one, or what they might have done was railroaded this guy who did look a bit strange and came across as a bit, I don't know, right, I'm not trying to down the guy, but when I first seen him I thought, fuck, like, he looked like one of the kind of, like, you know how you see the mad horror films where there's a mad caretaker in an old hotel, he looked like that. No try to kind of denigrate the guy, because obviously he was innocent, and he subsequently got damages paid by the Sun. All these big newspapers had to pay this guy damages for defamation of character, and he runs an organisation now to help people that are slandered by the media without conviction, and that's something we really need to talk about, because this is happened in other cases. I'm not going to get into it now, but you probably know what I'm talking about. Trial by media fucking outing people that have not even been fucking charged with it yet, man, and they're just people who've never even been in jail before, and they're just do you know what I mean? That should not be fucking happening. That's damaging the integrity of a police investigation, a murder investigation. It should not be happening. So sorry, I just got sidetracked there. I seen a fucking police motor in the distance with the lights on going down a road. I was like, fuck, what's going on now, man? Where was I? So the killer's injected the cell into investigation by phoning them for Holland and saying about, I've got new information. They've went over and questioned him and he's refused to give you a DNA sample initially, but he was asking questions about forensic techniques and they were just like, like, what you asking these questions for? So they've ended up phoning back to Bristol and going, here, listen, I think we've got the wrong guy. We're looking at the wrong guy here. But they've ended up releasing that the landlord and catching on to this FUD, and they got him back to the UK to stand trial. And it came out in court that they didn't know why he done this, right? Obviously he's not going to tell you. Well, he tried to, he gave evidence not, but he was crying and saying, this will haunt me the rest of my life. Pure fucking hollow words, man, like just nonsense, if you believe that, right? Just because he tried to cover his tracks and all that. See, if you were truly remorseful about doing something like that, you would have held yourself in straight away, man. You would have just fucking dialed 999. Just says, listen, man, I've fucking, do you know what I mean? You couldn't, if your conscience and your mental state could not cope with you done that, then that's what I imagine that you would do, right? You would hand yourself in straight away, man. Wouldn't try and cover your tracks and get an innocent guy fucking locked up for it and all that, right? What happened was he went and knocked on her door. This was like the 17th or the 18th of December 2010, right? She was found on Christmas Day, but it went to the door. Somehow he's got into her flat and something's happened where he's strangled her to death. Now, if I had to guess, I would guess that he must have tried to come on to her or something, right? And she's rebuffed him, and something's happened where she's let out a scream, right? And he's strangled her to stop her screaming, right? Because there was witness reports that somebody heard a scream back at 10 at night or something, so, but they didn't hear it now, so they didn't put too much into it. At the time, obviously, later on, hindsight, it would have came out, right, like that would have been her, it was screaming. And he's put her body in the boot of his car, stole a fucking pizza that she'd bought out of Tesco that day. Like, just shows you, and he stole one sock. What's all that about? A sock? Know what I mean? People who are remorseful don't do these things, right? And he's took her body and dumped it in the snow. And I remember that year, people were it was that heavy with snow in 2010 Christmas that people had to abandon their cars in Glasgow and fucking walk like 3 miles to get back to their house or not, because it was deep snow, right? It was like a blizzard. We weren't used to that. Know what I mean? So when the police have found her body, his DNA was on the body for carrying the body. I don't think there was any evidence of sexual assault. And they found traces of her blood in his car. So obviously they've hung him with it, you know. And it came out in court, interestingly enough, that they seized his devices, right? And they've found in his computer searches, he was researching this case every day for the day he knew he dumped her. He was checking Google Maps for the site of the body dump, the deposition site as the cops call it, because obviously the murder site and the deposition site can be two different things. The murder site's where the murder happened, the deposition site's where the body get dumped, you know. So he was like Googling it, he was looking at it on Google Earth and searching Joanna Yates murder update and all this shit. So he's keeping abreast of the police investigation, you know what I mean? Try to find out what they know and all that. And the other things that they found on his computer was violent, pornographic stuff to do with women. Now, somebody that's got that kind of fantasy life, you know what I mean? Very, very, very dangerous to women because he comes across as just so unthreatening and he would never hurt a fly and all this kind of shit, man. Because I seen his photo, you know, it's just a wee specky, just looks like a wee dweeb. Highly intelligent, obviously, but and he also had indecent images of children, say 200 images of children on his fucking laptop, right? So we've got somebody who, by default of the computer searches, is aroused by indecent images of children being sexually assaulted and women being like basically like torture porn or something it was. So whatever way you want to look at it, could be like a sexual sadist, sexual psychopath, whatever. And as I says, I don't buy all that shit on in court and oh I'm so sorry and right mate, whatever. So he's been sentenced to life with a recommendation of 20 years. So he's halfway through it, over halfway through it now. And he went to Wakefield, which back then was like their monster mansion, like our Peterhead, where all the sex cases went, right? But funnily enough, he was transferred to a less secure prison. Because obviously Wakefield would have been like Cat Age, all your fucking serial killers that have killed like 5 Waynes, whatever, your Huntleys, I don't know, these mad scumbags, right? And it was saying how one prison source said he's an exemplary prisoner. In other words, he's never fucking even raised his voice, and I would expect to see that for somebody like him, because he's not the type who would come and confront maybe somebody like me or you who had maybe done a bit of time rolling about with this one and that one, rolling about in a gaff, whatever. Somebody who can stick up for themselves. He is like a spider with a fly, I would say. And I guarantee you he was thinking about this for his teenage years, man. Got to do something like that, because why else would you be watching these these pornographic things he was watching, do you know? But on a funnier note, I seen that when he got transferred, because he was trying to get transferred back to Holland, where I think the prison system could be, the parole system, sorry, could be a bit more liberal compared to UK system, because almost no convicted murderer gets out their first shot at parole. It's unheard of. I've never heard of this, right? And he tried to apply to get back to Holland, and the UK, the English and Welsh prison service blocked it. So they moved him to Winchester, right? And apparently there's a hall in Winchester, like a block for all these Cadbury's feasts, right? And I don't think there's a wall separating it. So say they're in A hall and it's mainstream prisoners in B hall. They're all shouting abuse out at the beasts and throwing shit through their windows. Like, I can remember doing shit like that as well. Especially like in the segregation in Pullman. When you get locked in the exercise pen, there's still cell windows in there, so you could walk right up and talk to or abuse, verbally abuse somebody who was in the cells. And I remember doing mad things like smuggling like a bottle of urine out into it's like a dog kennel, and then champing the window. No, the cheeky, you always get some of these beasts trying to argue back with you, not, and I'm like, open the effing window and like, oh, buff, what that? Your breakfast. But as I say, there's just no coming back for certain things. I don't believe anybody who has that kind of criminal mentality is curable or whatever. Like, I'm not even fucking curable, man, but at the end of the day, I recognise the things I was doing bad, and I just don't want to fucking do it anymore. I always believe I would still be capable of doing it, but I'm in a place now where I want different things for my life, right? But when you have someone who is sexually gratified, sexually aroused by murder, rape, kids, that's built in, man. That's like, um, I'll never hear any different. I don't care what degree you've got, how many. If you, I don't care if you've got more degrees than a thermometer, man. I'll just never listen to any other point of view. And you might say, "Oh, well, you're not really being open-minded about it." Well, who would want to be open-minded about sex offenders, man? Do you know what I mean? They just, they're, they're just vermin, man. Know what I mean? And it would be good to like remember that poor lassie, man, because that family probably go through this every fucking Christmas. You know what I mean? And I was actually thinking about it yesterday because, like, obviously, like, there's a lot of people out there with a lot of trauma in their life. You know what I mean? And some traumas are obviously more severe than others. Like, I couldn't imagine that, man. Like, my daughter, my sister. Do you know what I mean? Every Christmas day, just dreading Christmas, man. Do you know what I mean? Just like another year without her and all that, man. Or if it was your son, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So, um, just absolutely horrendous, man. That poor lassie had her whole life in front of her. She was only 25, man. Just graduated with degrees in some profession and came from a good family. You know what I mean? Um, just horrible, man. Horrific. You know what I mean? And it just seems like something out of a horror film, and it's what they say, you never imagine it happening to you, and I could never imagine it happening to me. Do you know what I mean? Disney better thinking about it. Fucking horrendous, but um, cheers for listening anyway, man. Thanks to all the people that are subbing and tuning in and engaging. It's appreciated, and hopefully next year, man, I'm going to kind of be doing like more interviews with people, because as I said before, I've got ideas, like good ideas for this channel, but at the end of the day, I've only been doing it for October. Not I mean, it's not even been, it's like 2 month old or something, not even 3 months yet. And I just pure done it on a lark, and it's been received very positively. So I'm really thankful for the people that are kind of coming on and listening and engaging with, and um, just, just tuning in and being sound and administering positive vibes, because there's too much negativity in the world, man, and I've just no time for it anymore. I let it just go right over my head, man. Just, do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, what do people want to bring negativity to you for? Do you know what I mean? You need to question that. But I hope you all had a good Christmas and that anyway. I'll probably be back on tomorrow or something, I don't know, see what's happening. Because as I say, I've got another couple of things I want to speak about in that, so I'm going to go and just watch telly and that. So I hope you all had a good one, and I hope you all enjoying your Boxing Day as well. Stay safe and stay out of bother, and take care of yourselves, enjoy your time with your family, and I'll speak to you soon. Ciao.